They laughed. They doubted. They dismissed it as a fantasy. Every expert, every engineer, every skeptic, they all said the same thing. This is impossible. But then, on an ordinary stretch of highway on a day like any other, everything changed. The traffic was flowing like usual. Engines humming, tires rolling, drivers zoned in, locked in the routine of yet another drive. Until a shape emerged on the horizon. Not just any shape. Something different. Futuristic. Silent. Effortless. And most of all, self-powered. No engine noise. No exhaust. No fuel stops. Just motion. Pure, uninterrupted motion. Cars began to slow down. Phones came out. People couldn't believe what they were seeing. Some thought it was a prank. Others thought it was CGI. But it was real. And it was moving fast. Effortlessly gliding down the road with zero emissions, zero fuel, and zero help. Not plugged in. Not towed. Not charging. This was the machine they said would never exist. A car that never needed to recharge. A car powered by something no one had dared to fully believe in. The project had been buried. Laughed out of boardrooms. Shunned by industries too afraid to lose control. But here it was. On the highway. Proving every critic wrong in real time. And the man behind it? He wasn't from Silicon Valley. He wasn't backed by billionaires. He wasn't featured on magazine covers. He was an African innovator. A self-taught engineer. A man who refused to quit. His name? Maxwell Chikumbutso. A name that may not yet echo through history, but after this moment, it will. Maxwell didn't just build a car. He built a vision. He built a rebellion against outdated technology, against energy monopolies, and against the mindset that says only certain people from certain countries can lead the future. And now, he was cruising past gas stations like they were relics. While others were stuck at charging points, he was miles ahead, unstoppable. But the truth runs deeper. Because this wasn't just a vehicle. It was the result of years of secret trials. Silent testing. Government pressure. Backdoor deals trying to shut it down. The tech? It's called self-sustaining energy. A hybrid of electromagnetic and radio frequency technologies. Able to power not just the vehicle but potentially entire cities. It generates energy as it moves. More power than it consumes. A closed loop. No fossil fuel. No lithium batteries. No solar panels. Just genius. And as this vehicle made its way across the highway, everything changed. The rules were rewritten. The game was flipped. People chased it in their cars, filming it, asking, "How is it moving?" No wires. No engine hum. No explanation, just movement. Suddenly, the internet exploded. Clips went viral. News anchors scrambled for answers. Automotive CEOs went silent. And engineers worldwide stared at their screens, speechless. Because they saw the future drive past them. It wasn't theoretical anymore. It wasn't a dream anymore. It was here. Now. Moving. Loud in its silence. And the highway? It became a witness. A proving ground. A stage for the impossible. The whispers started. Could this end the oil industry? Will power grids become obsolete? What happens if this tech spreads? Governments wanted answers. Energy companies wanted control. Tech giants wanted patents. But Maxwell? He just wanted freedom. Not just for himself. Not just for Africa. But for the world. The highway shook, not from noise. But from disruption. From the tremors of a breakthrough too big to suppress. They said it couldn't be done. But there it was done. And now? Now the world watches. Because if one man, from one workshop, from one continent, can flip the world's most powerful industries on their heads, what else is possible? The story doesn't stop here. Because the revolution has just begun. And as this car fades into the horizon, another is being built. Then another. And another. Not just cars, but bikes. Not just bikes, but homes. Not just homes, but cities. Powered by the impossible. By innovation, by resilience, by the belief that can't is just a challenge. So as traffic resumes and the road clears, One question lingers in the air. What if everything they told us was impossible was never impossible at all? In a hidden workshop tucked away from the noise of global media, Maxwell and his small, trusted team continue to work in silence. The hum of prototypes, the glow of lab lights, the whiteboard scrawled with equations no one else understands. This is the real engine room of innovation. Each part is handcrafted. Each test is logged. Each failure is learned from. And with every day, the vision expands. Because this isn't just about one vehicle. It's about breaking the cycle. Removing the need for billion-dollar power grids, fossil fuel wars, and environmental compromise. This is about independence. Clean energy anytime, anywhere. And as nations begin to notice, some offer partnerships. Others offer threats. Maxwell smiles at both. Because he's not building to sell. He's building to change. And far away from the political meetings, boardrooms, and news channels, a quiet war begins. Not with bombs or bullets, but with ideas. Ideas that cannot be UN seen. Technology that can't be reversed. And for every young innovator watching this unfold, hope is ignited. If Maxwell could do this, what else can be done? They said it couldn't be done. But now? They're trying to copy it. The sun dips below the horizon now, casting long shadows over the highway where it all began. But the story is far from over. Somewhere in a secret testing ground, a second vehicle is unveiled. Sleeker, faster, even more efficient than the first. Cameras are banned. Workers have their phones locked away. But whispers escape anyway, whispers of a prototype that can power itself indefinitely, even when stationary. Rumors swirl that it no longer even needs motion to sustain its energy. It could sit in a garage and still light up a home. Or power a hospital. Or run an entire village silently, cleanly, endlessly. Meanwhile, the media frenzy has reached a fever pitch. Reporters chase Maxwell through airports. Paparazzi camp outside his workshop gates. News tickers around the world flash headlines like, "The car that changed everything." Oil prices plummet amid self-powered vehicle breakthrough. Is this the end of the grid? And in corporate boardrooms, powerful men and women sit in tense meetings, trying to figure out how to stop or steal the technology. They draft lawsuits. They send spies. They even offer billions to buy the patents outright. But Maxwell refuses. Every time. Because this was never about money. It was about proving them wrong. It was about giving the world a chance it was told it didn't deserve. And yet, the pressure grows. One night, as he drives the prototype down a quiet mountain road, he notices a black SUV trailing him. At first it keeps its distance. Then it gets closer. And closer. Until it tries to cut him off. But Maxwell doesn't panic. He knows his car and he knows theirs. With a flick of his wrist, he accelerates silently into the darkness, leaving them eating dust. Because his car doesn't just keep going, it outperforms everything on the road. By the time the SUV gives up, he's already miles away, his taillights fading into the night. Elsewhere, in schools around Africa, children sit huddled around tiny screens, watching videos of Maxwell's car on loop. In rural villages, families gather to discuss what this means for them. No more walking miles for fuel. No more depending on unreliable power grids. No more empty promises from politicians. For the first time in a long time, the impossible seems possible. Back in his lab, Maxwell and his team work late into the night. Blueprints line the walls. New designs for planes. For ships. Even for satellites. Because why stop at cars? Why stop at highways? If this technology works here, it can work anywhere. And so, they build. And test. And improve. The second prototype becomes the third. The third becomes the fourth. Each version more advanced, more elegant, more disruptive. And as Maxwell sips his tea, looking at the glowing schematics of his next idea, he smiles. Because he knows. The world isn't ready for what comes next. Meanwhile, resistance grows. World leaders call emergency summits. Oil CEOs warn of economic disaster if Maxwell's technology spreads. Some even claim it's dangerous, too untested, too revolutionary. They spin stories about safety concerns, about instability. But the public doesn't care anymore. They've seen it with their own eyes. They've filmed it on their own phones. They believe. And belief is contagious. Somewhere in Asia, a group of young engineers begin working on their own version. In South America, activists start demanding governments invest in this new technology. In Europe, automakers panic as pre-orders for their electric cars plummet. Because everyone's waiting now for Maxwell's next move. 1 year later, the world is no longer the same. On highways across Africa, self-powered vehicles glide past gas stations that now sit mostly empty. Cities begin decommissioning their power plants. Rooftops lose their solar panels because they are not needed anymore. And in one bold move, Maxwell unveils his next creation. A home that powers itself. No cables. No wires. No bills. Just walls that generate energy. The crowd watching erupts into cheers. The news anchors stammer over their words. The critics are nowhere to be found. And still this is just the beginning. Because on the outskirts of his workshop, under a tarp, something massive is taking shape. Wheels bigger than a man. Metal gleaming in the sun. A self-powered freight truck. And next to it? Blueprints for trains. And ships. And yes, even planes. Because why stop at roads? Why stop at Earth? The world holds its breath as Maxwell rolls out one impossible machine after another. And every time, he reminds them. You said it couldn't be done. But here it is. Done. Again. And every time the highway shakes. The camera zooms out now, showing roads crisscrossing deserts, mountains, cities all alive with the quiet hum of these impossible vehicles. The voiceover whispers. If one man can change the highway, imagine what we all could change together. And the scene fades to black. Only to light up again, this time with yet another impossible idea coming to life. The world is now fully awake. The highways hum with quiet revolutions. The air is cleaner. The gas stations are ghost towns. And the power companies are crumbling, their monopolies slipping through their fingers like sand. But Maxwell? He doesn't slow down. Not even for a second. Because in his mind, there's more to fix. More lies to undo. More impossible to make real. At a dusty airfield outside the city, an enormous hangar door groans open. Inside stands something that stops everyone in their tracks. An aircraft. Silent. Sleek. Unlike anything the world has ever seen. Its wings shimmer with an unearthly sheen. There are no fuel tanks. No roaring engines. Just a promise. This is Maxwell's next masterpiece. A plane that powers itself. Able to circle the globe without refueling indefinitely. The crowd watching from behind the barriers gasps. Some clap. Some cry. A little boy on his father's shoulders asks, "Is it magic?" Maxwell simply smiles and answers, "No. It's science we weren't supposed to discover." Soon, the plane lifts off. It slices through the clouds without a sound, leaving no contrail, no pollution, just awe. As it soars higher and higher, news helicopters try to keep up, but they fall behind quickly. Because this machine doesn't stop. It doesn't need to. From the streets of Lagos to the skyscrapers of New York, people look up and point. Phones are raised. Live streams explode. #Maxwell Miracle trends worldwide. But not everyone is happy. In shadowy rooms filled with smoke and panic, the world's most powerful people plot their next move. They huddle over maps, charts, and secret memos. They know, if this spreads any further, everything they control will collapse. And so, they begin the next phase of resistance. Sabotage. Misinformation. A campaign to convince the world it's all a hoax. But Maxwell stays one step ahead. He posts his data publicly. He lets scientists test it openly. He live streams his experiments, showing the world what's possible with no tricks, no edits. The people believe him. And when the people believe, the powerful can only watch. In a small coastal town, another breakthrough emerges. A fishing boat, powered by Maxwell's technology, glides silently into harbor. No diesel fumes. No fuel bills. Fishermen, once shackled by rising costs, now sail freely, finally able to feed their families without going broke. One old fisherman laughs into the camera and says, They told us we couldn't dream. But this is better than a dream. And still, Maxwell builds. Now his designs are appearing in places he's never been. Students in India building prototypes in their garages. Mothers in Brazil wiring homes to run off his schematics. Inventors in Eastern Europe modifying trains to carry freight without fuel. The revolution no longer belongs to him alone. It belongs to everyone. Then, a whisper of something even bigger. At the edge of the Sahara Desert, a team of engineers is assembling something massive visible even from space. People speculate wildly. A giant energy farm? A space launch pad? A city? But Maxwell keeps silent. For months, cameras are banned and drones are shot down. Until the day comes. And the world sees it. A self-sustaining city. Every home. Every school. Every hospital. Every streetlight. All powered without cables, without pollution, without compromise. It's called Eden. And it works. People move in. Children play. Gardens bloom. Water flows. And the air smells sweet again. Eden becomes the blueprint for the future. And other Edens begin rising on every continent. On the day Maxwell cuts the ribbon, he whispers into the microphone. They told us the earth couldn't heal. They told us people couldn't change. They were wrong. And the crowd roars. But even this is not the end. Because on the horizon, something even more impossible glimmers. In his lab, Maxwell stares at a screen showing stars, planets, galaxies. Next to him, a model of something that looks like a ship but not meant for the sea. A ship meant for space. And the words on the wall behind him simply read, "Why stop here?" So the story continues. Highways filled with silent cars. Skies crossed by quiet planes. Oceans sailed by clean ships. Cities powered by nothing but ingenuity. And somewhere, in a quiet corner of the earth, Maxwell is already working on the next impossible thing. Because every time they say it can't be done, he smiles and answers, "Watch me." The camera pans high above the earth now. The highways below are alive, glowing ribbons of light. Silent vehicles glide effortlessly, weaving through streets that no longer choke with smog. Children run barefoot on clean pavement. Fishermen return home smiling, their boats humming quietly. Airplanes trace graceful arcs in the sky, no contrails, no thunder. And cities sparkle in the night, powered by nothing but imagination and courage. In the middle of it all stands a man. Not on a stage. Not in a palace. But on the side of the same highway where it all began. Maxwell looks out over the road, the same road that once belonged to doubters and skeptics, now owned by dreamers and believers. He bends down, runs his fingers along the asphalt, and whispers to himself, "This was never about me. It was about proving that we are limitless." As he stands, the sound of footsteps grows behind him. People young, old, from every corner of the earth walking toward him. Carrying blueprints. Carrying ideas. Carrying hope. One by one, they join him. First dozens. Then hundreds. Then thousands. All moving forward together down the endless highway of possibility. The camera pulls back farther and farther until the earth itself is just a glowing blue sphere against the infinite black canvas of space. And in bold letters across the screen, "The impossible is just the beginning." Then the screen fades to black. And a single line appears. "What will you create? They said it couldn't be done, but here we are. One highway. One dream. One spark that ignited a movement. The impossible isn't a wall, it's a doorway. And today, someone walked through it. So, what about you? What's your impossible? What will you dare to create next? What if everything they told you was impossible was just waiting for you to try? If you believe in a world without limits, hit that like button. If you want to see more stories of innovation and inspiration, subscribe now. And tell us in the comments what's your impossible?